Welcome back to the program. So, a couple things. Back in December of 2024, I was finally able to get my LinkedIn account back after 4 years. Okay, so anyone watching right now, and you've been watching for a while, and you want to connect with me, and you have a business or whatever it might be, contact me on LinkedIn and connect with me. But also, here recently, I was able to get back on the X platform, and I have now gotten somewhere around 6,000 or so people following me. So if you want to follow me at Real JBU Show, Real JBU Show. I haven't asked for anyone to follow me on social media in so many years, which is sad, but also encouraging. Okay, so please do that. And like I said, I'm kind of growing in leaps and bounds. I put something up today at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It has 45,000 views on it. So that's not happening with every post. Definitely not. But I am trying to put more stuff out there. I'm still doing a show 7 days a week. That's not changing or anything like that. But I am putting out some different things and trying to grow some more social media in the hopefully less censorship era of President Trump's presidency. Let's talk about a couple of interesting things that are happening. The acting FBI director is refusing to give the names of all the officials involved in the prosecutions of the January 6th political prisoners. And now, well, the acting director is still in power for now, but we are hearing that his days are numbered, number one, and number two. We are talking about protecting the names here that this guy is trying to do of thousands of FBI officials and prosecutors and lawyers and everybody else. They're not playing around. They're not playing around. This is a new administration by a president that knows now what to do, and more importantly, who to hire and trust, and of course, where to find them. So let's see. Brian Driscoll is reportedly refusing to give the names of the officials involved in January 6 cases against President Trump and all the January 6ers. Brian Driscoll is currently serving as acting FBI director as Trump nominee Kash Patel awaits confirmation. According to a CNN report, at least 6 FBI leaders have been removed or told to resign by Monday. I'm doing this late Sunday night, so who knows when we wake up, it might be already done. President Trump fired the head of the FBI Washington field office, David Sundberg, canning an additional 20 other heads of offices. As many as 88 FBI officials were marched out of their offices on Friday alone. According to Brian Driscoll, each field office is required to submit a list of all personnel, current and former, who were involved in the January 6th investigations and prosecutions by noon on Tuesday, my birthday, February 4th. However, it is now being reported that Driscoll is on thin ice because he's refusing to deliver this list of officials involved in the witch hunt of President Trump and the political persecution of the J6ers. The Justice Department ultimately did not dismiss Driscoll, the head of the Bureau's network field office, who was temporarily serving as its acting director. Just over 24 hours later, Driscoll notified the FBI workforce that he had been ordered to remove 8 additional senior FBI executives by Emil Bove, the acting deputy attorney general and Trump's former personal defense lawyer. Driscoll also said that he had been told to turn over the names of every FBI employee involved in investigating the January 6ers. Driscoll stated that the 8 executives had been forced out, but did not say whether he would turn over the broader list of January 6 related FBI investigators, a list that he noted encompasses thousands of FBI employees, including himself. They're not going to be able to hide like last time. They're not going to be able to leak information to the Washington Post and the New York Slimes and the rest of them. Now it's different because we're getting rid of the people that normally would be entrenched in this administration, just like they were in the last administration and the one before that when President Trump was in office. Now, one of the things that I talk about in Preserving Liberty is basically reining in the administrative state, and I talk about something that I created called the Transition Act. And in the Transition Act, I talk about in the book that every single administration that is coming in, whether Republican or Democrat for that matter, doesn't matter, any new administration, the people that worked in the former administration would have 30 days to reapply for their jobs and their positions. If they don't do it, then they're automatically fired. If they do it, then it'll be up to the discretion of the new administration to decide whether or not they want to hire that former official. That's what I call the Transition Act in Preserving Liberty. And it's something that is kind of happening, maybe not even with any type of law or legislation. It's just happening where he's just firing everybody. And again, he's doing this through, executive action and things like that. I want to make it permanent. This way, if we had a Transition Act that was permanent, you would not have other people from other administrations being hangovers in another new administration. Because look, let's face it, in Washington, the administrative state administrates, right, what happens in Washington. The presidential administration is the ones that come up with the ideas, but the administrative state is supposed to execute the ideas of the administration. That's their goal. That's their job, right? But what's happened is that has been bastardized. And we have a bunch of career criminals in the senior executive services in particular that have worked in Washington, or shall I say not worked, because they're probably home jerking off in a bubble bath somewhere. But the reality is that it's those people that are undermining the next administration. It is those people that were leaking to the New York Times and the Washington Post and every other paper, and LA Times and all, New York, everywhere, all over in his first term. Now he's recognizing who those people are and he's removing them. Thank God. Next story. Trump says that he's rooting out now the radical lunatics, his words, at USAID, while Elon Musk is slamming the agency for spending taxpayers' money to fund bioweapon research, including COVID-19. USAID, the foreign aid agency that many see as a front for CIA activities, is being radically dismantled by United States President Donald J. Trump and his Doge leader, Elon Musk. Top two officials were put on leave after trying to keep Elon Musk's team from accessing classified information, and soon both the X social media account with 1 million followers and also the website have been disabled. Wow. Mess with Elon Musk and see what happens. 970.4K followers following 891 at USAID. Something went wrong. Try again. I love it. Meanwhile, both President Trump and Elon Musk are out swinging, fighting the PR battle and revealing the true scope of the fake aid agency. Elon Musk is also letting rip on the agency, and he's not mincing any of his words. USAID is a criminal organization, Elon put on X yesterday. Time for it to die. Wow, interesting. Musk also shared a post on X user highlighting that USAID funneled $53 million to the infamous EcoHealth Alliance. Wow. U.S. taxpayer funds to support gain-of-function, weaponization, research on coronaviruses at the Wuhan lab that created COVID. So not only did they do what they have been doing, but they've also been funding gain-of-function research. Wow. We have so many criminals that we have to find and root out. It's unbelievable what this last regime was able to do. Unbelievable. And so let's see here. Was there anything else on this one? No, that was about it on that one. But that's good. That is good. They are weeding them out. But you know what? Where are the prosecutions? When are the prosecutions going to start on the bioterrorism research? Like I've been saying, I want to see the preemptive pardon go bye-bye. And I believe the best way to get that done is to focus on Dr. Falsey, the satanic garden gnome, because we know that under oath he has lied repetitively. He has also been involved with the gain-of-function research. And it's not opinion, it's absolute fact. I covered it in Preserving Liberty. And so he's the key. We need to have a class action lawsuit. The problem is that it's coercion if a government official suggests, hey, why don't we get a class action lawsuit to come out against, Dr. Fauci? You can't do that. It'll be thrown out immediately because it's tainted, because it's coercive. However, people like me, or people like all of you, or anyone else, you can go out on social media and elsewhere and say we need a class action lawsuit from people that have suffered from COVID, long COVID, vaccine injuries of all kinds, deaths, whatever. We should have a class action lawsuit with millions upon millions upon millions of Americans, because that's how many, sadly, have been affected by it. And we ought to get a class action lawsuit and challenge, not necessarily to go after Fauci right now, but to challenge to the Supreme Court, directly appeal to the Supreme Court, and challenge the validity and the constitutionality of preemptive pardoning. Let them decide the case. Now, it does say, Article 2, Section 2, that preemptive pardoning is part of it. But it has been obviously abused, and, we've never seen it this bad. And it needs to be looked upon again at the court. Because here's the thing. If the Supreme Court takes a look at it and rules that it should be repealed or that it's unconstitutional, sorry, Biden family, crime family, sorry, Hunter, sorry, whoever, Liz Cheney and the rest of them, and Fauci, you're all going down at that point. And that's what needs to happen. They need to challenge the preemptive pardoning of the Constitution. We'll see what happens. Okay, where am I at time-wise? Oh, not bad. All right, I'll do two more things and then we're out of here. So President Trump has signed another executive order today that is requiring agencies to eliminate 10 existing regulations for every new regulation issued. My God, do I love this. The ever-expanding morass of complicated federal regulation imposes massive costs on the lives of millions of Americans, creating a substantial restraint on our economic growth and ability to build and innovate, and it hampers our global competitiveness. Despite the magnitude of their impact, these measures are often difficult for the average person or business to even understand, as they require synthesizing the collective meaning not just of formal regulations, but also rules, memorandums, administrative orders, guidance documents, policy statements, and interagency agreements that are not subject to the Administrative Procedures Act, further increasing compliance costs and the rise of costs of non-compliance, the order states. It is the policy of my administration to significantly reduce the private expenditures required to comply with federal regulations to secure America's economic prosperity and national security and the highest possible quality of life for each citizen. The order requires that, quote, unless prohibited by law, whenever an executed department or agency or agencies publicly proposes for notice and comment or otherwise promulgates a new regulation, it shall identify at least 10 existing regulations to be repealed. It further requires that, quote, any new incremental costs associated with new regulations shall, to the extent permitted by law, be offset by the elimination of existing costs associated with at least 10 prior regulations. Agency heads are directed to ensure that the total incremental cost of any new regulation shall be significantly less than zero. The Office of Management and Budget Director is directed to oversee and set guidance on new regulations under the new law. The President has long committed to and campaigned on deregulation to foster economic growth and prosperity. In 2017, President Trump signed a similar executive order requiring agencies to eliminate at least 2 prior regulations before implementing a new one. He went now to 10. Imagine that. He went from eliminate 2 for every one you put on to now, no, eliminate 10 for every one you put on. That is awesome. And of course, Biden, on day one, revoked President Trump's old deregulation order. So there you go. There it is. So what does that mean? Well, before I even get into that, there's one part of this that is just so amazingly beautiful. And I just want to find it. Where was it? It was right here. This paragraph right here shows you not only the difference between the last regime and this new golden age coming in, but it shows you the heart. It shows you the fact that President Trump is real, that he loves the American people. It is the policy of my administration to significantly reduce the private expenditures required to comply with federal regulations to secure America's economic prosperity and national security and give the people the highest possible quality of life. There it is. This man loves this country. He wouldn't be doing this for any other reason. And I know the left likes to say, oh, he's doing it for money. Really? He gives his salary away every single time. Okay? Every time. So it's ridiculous to even say that. But I wanted to read this one last thing, and then we'll head out. President Trump's second term. This time, the outsider knows how the system works. This is by Christine Manides. We're only 1 week into Donald Trump's second presidency, but what a week it has been. He may still be an outsider, but this time from the outsider, he knows how this inside system works. Freedom first principles, great thinking, great leadership are emerging in ways we're unaccustomed to. It is glorious, but also confusing if you don't know what you're seeing. Here's a mental framework to carry throughout this administration. The broader theme in President Trump's approach, according to this writer, is using bold and unconventional methods to advance American strength and influence. A master negotiator, he'll often stake an extreme position, one he'd likely be satisfied with if it ever came to pass. However, the position is more often a calculated starting point for negotiations. By holding firm, he reframes the discussion entirely, bringing the newly defined topic to the forefront of public discourse. We saw this play out with Greenland, when on January 11th, its leader, Mute Igidi, said he's prepared to negotiate with President Trump about the territory's future. Do we need to own Greenland? No. What is necessary for the geopolitical security of the United States is to control Greenland, which is what I've been saying. And that's now firmly on the table for serious discussion. Greenland's location between North America and Europe make it a linchpin for Arctic strategy and provide a strategic military and economic vantage point over the Arctic shipping lanes that are becoming increasingly important as polar ice is melting. The island's rare earth minerals, as I've talked about previously, are vital for technology and defense industries. Whoever controls Greenland controls a critical component of the 21st century geopolitical chessboard. Now, I haven't put it quite like that, but this writer, I believe, is correct. Trump's penchant for trolling, whether suggesting the purchase of Greenland, making Canada another state, or renaming the Gulf of Mexico, reclaiming the Panama Canal, or launching his namesake meme coins, it isn't just random. It's always a calculated strategy that aligns with his identity as a negotiator and his pursuit of the, quote, best deal possible for America. Of course, the showman in him occasionally insists on stealing the spotlight. If you're questioning whether this trolling is proper presidential behavior, it is, very much so. That brings us to the art of distraction. Of all the aforementioned things, Panama is a current problem, not just a potential boon. The Panama Canal is a critical choke point for global trade and military strategy and is a pressing concern for the United States. China regional involvement is increasing, with its state-owned enterprises managing key port facilities near the canal. This raises alarms over the potential for Beijing to disrupt trade or gain a strategic military advantage. The canal is vital for U.S. naval operations and the rapid deployment of forces between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Trump's unorthodox tactics are rooted in a business-like cost-benefit analysis. What does America need to secure her future, and how can she negotiate from the strongest position possible? Enter January 20th's executive order titled Restoring Names That Honor American Greatness. This order officially called for renaming the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America and instructed the Secretary of the Interior to take all necessary action to have the same effectuated by the U.S. Board of Geographic Names for official recognition and usage. As a deliberate distraction, it also called for restoring Mount McKinley's name, though the surrounding national park retains the name Denali. But this order has nothing to do with names or nationalism and everything to do with national security. As the text states, quote, the Gulf will continue to play a pivotal role in shaping America's future and the global economy, end quote. Translation, it's geopolitically strategic and we're ensuring clear precedent that it's ours. Historically, naming conventions have often been employed to solidify territorial claims or project national influence. The now Gulf of America is no different. Strategically, it connects U.S. ports, facilitates trade, and supports the energy sector and naval operations. By rebranding it, the U.S. reinforces its sovereignty and signals broader geopolitical intent to China, whose activity in Central and South America continues to rise. With the Panama Canal quickly slipping out of our control, President Trump is looking 4 moves ahead. Expect a continued focus on Panama and possibly some direct action, but the president is ensuring we're not reliant on its successful outcome. Mexico has been quietly building its own infrastructure of canals, ports, and railways at the 188-mile corridor of the Isthmus of Tehuantepec that is similar to a mini Panama Canal. It serves as a shortcut to the Pacific Ocean, and as you've likely surmised by now, the body of water on the eastern side of that is the Gulf of America. And then they talk about crypto and a couple other things, but it's the issues. Let's see here. Let me get to the bottom. Wow, it's a long article. Let's get to this point. Let's see, where is it? Let's go here. The issue we should be discussing is permanent innovation, an environment where new ideas and technologies can flourish freely without excessive regulation. This approach has driven American progress from the Industrial Revolution to Silicon Valley. But erring on the side of freedom, the U.S. has consistently empowered entrepreneurs to lead the world in breakthroughs, essential now more than ever, as competitors like China look to dominate energy industries with state-directed initiatives. Ensuring a permissive atmosphere is critical to strategic superiority and ensuring the future is shaped by America with liberty. I love it. That's awesome. And this writer is correct. There's a little bit more on it, but basically it's the art of the deal. It's basically telling the world that, look, America has always been at the forefront of leadership for the world. It has always been the anchor that steers that ship. And we have gotten away from that. And what President Trump is doing is coming back in with an immediate jolt of leadership and letting the rest of the world know that America will no longer be a sitting duck. America will no longer be sitting back. America will no longer be in a situation where we are leading from behind. We will be leading from the front. It will be glorious. It will be amazing. And I can't wait to see the enormous amount of success that this administration is going to have. Hang tight. It's coming. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Put them down in the comments below. We'll see you in the next one.